Greetings, Patrick here, and welcome to the society. Uh, so the Midnight Society, and as you can see, our week from fucking hell continues. Uh, that's right. As far as guests go, Danny Nightmare is supposed to be with us. He still might be here with us, but he suffered a blown tire today, and he's been locked in trying to get his tire back on. So that's what happened. That's why he's not here. That's why we pushed it back an hour. So hopefully he could get home in time to join us. I'm not going to expect that. I mean, accidents happen. He's okay. He's okay. He blew out a tire while he was driving, but he is okay. He's safe. And I'm sure, though, he's sick and tired of looking at the same magazines at a discount tire, waiting for his tire to be replaced. But of course, what can I say? It's incredibly frustrating when something like this happens. But you know what? We're gonna go on with the show anyway. I personally just gonna, I could throw the gauntlet down and sit there and say, he knows that I'm right when Daredevil is the shit. Um, we're supposed to be talking about The Crow, 1994. That was directed by Alex Proyas and starred Brandon Lee in his last role. He was tragically killed during the filming of this movie, and it has gone on to become a cult classic, and is due to be remade. They're going to be remaking it, I guess, with Bill Skarsgård playing Eric Draven. I have mixed emotions about that. I don't, for one thing, I don't think he has. He just definitely does not have Brendan Lee's physical skills. Um, and that's the thing. That's the thing when you go into filming these movies like this, you got to look at the character. You know, you got to look at the physical character of the person you're portraying, which is why I'm not really a big Robert Pattinson fan for playing Batman. He's way too small. Same thing with Val Kilmer when he played him, too small. Um, Tom Cruise. I love Tom Cruise, but he was way too small when he played Jack Reacher. Um, and when you compare Skarsgård's physical abilities, now I know he got jacked for the Northman, so I know physically, I guess he still has, he has a pretty good physique, but he does not have Brendan Lee's skills. It takes more than just muscles to carry a character, what a character does and how he moves. Brendan Lee was a martial artist as well as almost like a ballet dancer. Um, so I don't know. I mean, the part of it, why some of the things that he'll be able to get away with is the fact that he will be he will be in a mask. His face will be covered uh, when he's on screen. I mean, he'll have his regular face before he gets killed, and then he'll come back as the crow, and he'll have makeup on. So uh, I have mixed emotions about that. I don't know if necessarily that the crow should be remade or not. A lot of people feel like that maybe not. Um, I'm I'm one of I think there is a growing of movie fans that are really sort of sick and tired of the remakes. Um, if you want to continue a story and move it forward, uh, you're gonna get a lot of support for that. But if you're gonna go back and remake movies over and over and over, I just don't think people will respond to that. We were talking about that about Disney. Disney, for some reason, they seem to be hell bent on remaking all their famous animated movies into live action, and I don't necessarily think you need to do that. I think it takes away from the original one in some respects, because if the live action one comes out and doesn't do as well as you hope it does, then people they sort of like see the animated one and they might not be so quick to look at it or comment on it or what have you. Um, of course, the Crow is a very well known character among comic book fans. He was created by Jim O'Barr, I believe it was James O'Barr. So it came out as a comic book. Um, the movie itself, The Crow itself, let's look at the numbers. It was directed by Alex Proyas, who also directed Dark City. He also directed Gods of Egypt. I'm sure he's directed a few more. The screenplay for The Crow, the screenplay for The Crow was written by David J. Shaw, and John Shirley. David Shaw is one of the two authors that were considered splatterpunk kings back in the 80s. Um, they know how to write us. They know how to write. Uh, and it was produced by Jeff Most and also Edward R. Pressman. It starred Brandon Lee, Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters fame. It also starred Michael Wincott. Um, he played in Along Came a Spider. Some other great classic movies. Wow, Michael Wincott's been around for a while, actually. He played the bad guy. Let's see. He played Top Dollar. Bai Ling. Bai Ling plays Micra. That was Top Dollar's brother and sister, I think it was. Um, Sophia Shyness, singer Sophia Shyness played Shelley Webster. Anna Levine played Darla Moore. David Patrick Kelly, uh, Warriors come out to play. He played T-Bird. Um, and of course, most people remember Tony Todd playing Grange. That was probably the name that I saw. John Polito was in the film, as long as Bill Raymond. The cast is pretty good. The cast is pretty good. It pales compares to Daredevil, though. The cast for Daredevil is much more impressive. I'll be honest with you. Um, the budget for The Crow, and this is probably this is an independent film, I believe. So, well, it came out on Miramax, so they had a smaller budget. I do believe this is before Harvey Weinstein did not get his hands into Miramax films at this time. So this film was not influenced by anything by the Weinstein brothers. Um, but the film itself had a budget of $23 million, $23 million, and the box office was not bad. $94 million returned, so it made a lot of money back, definitely. And of course, it has gone on to become a cult classic. It is a origin story for the Raven, the, the Raven, for the Crow, the Raven. I'm thinking Highlander here. For this is the origin story for the Crow, and it tells a story about how Shelley and Eric, you know, they lived in Detroit, and both of them, both Eric Draven and his girlfriend Shelley are killed, and Eric Draven comes back, and of course, he wreaks havoc upon Top Dollar's gang. Um, Wow, it's pretty cool. It's a cool movie, in a lot of respects. Um, Proyas did a nice job. He definitely, he got the mood right for it. As far as that goes, as far as bringing back the Crow. The one thing that really hurt the Crow for me when I rewatched it, was the fact that the pacing was really off. Let me go back to the chat. Nobody's chatting yet. Okay, but people are watching. Thanks for watching. Uh, the one thing that I feel really hurt the Crow was the pacing of the movie itself. I just didn't feel like there was. I just felt like the pacing was not that good. Hey, Casey, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Um, that was the biggest thing. I like the atmosphere. It's dark at night, rainy. Um, that works for a little bit. Um, but I do think that it would have helped out a little bit too, and because Daredevil had the same thing. Daredevil, there's a lot of action at night with Daredevil, but there was also action during the day as well. Um, and I just think that they stayed a little bit too dark for a little too long. I don't think I'm nitpicking either. I mean, you sort of want to see, the Crow in action. You want to see him, fight more, and you just really don't as much as you think that you should for the Crow. Um, I think, like I said, the atmosphere is done. It's definitely captured. I mean, it's supposed to be, Detroit and on Devil's Night, and it definitely had that feeling. I mean, Detroit on Halloween is not a very nice place to be, and it used to be a lot worse. So they captured that fine. Um, I also feel like Daredevil did it better. The way they opened up during Hell's Kitchen. You see Daredevil coming in, and it just looked a little bit better. It looked cleaner for me. Uh, but let's talk a little bit about Daredevil because Daredevil, uh, believe it or not, a lot of people say, "Well, this is Daredevil's first movie." This was not Daredevil's first movie or appearance. In fact, it wasn't even Wilson Fisk's first appearance. Daredevil has actually made his debut in the Incredible Hulk. This One of the things that the series, the Incredible Hulk from the '80s, um, showed David Banner, Bruce Banner. He was going around the country. He's looking for how to fix himself, and he always helped. In the case of the oh, there he is. Oh, all right. Well, I'm just gonna keep going until you get here, and then you can come in there and defend the Crow. I don't even know you need to defend the Crow. The Crow's pretty cool. I don't think it really needs a whole lot of defending, but we could definitely talk about it. I really think though this was not Daredevil's first rodeo. Um, Daredevil appeared, like I said, in the Incredible Hulk TV show. It always showed, David Banner going around the country, and he always landed up in some little town or something like that, and he helped somebody else out. And never once was there any Marvel characters in the series, not one. It wasn't until after the series was canceled, and but the ratings are still okay enough that they say, well, we can't bring it back for another season, but what we can do a series of TV movies, and so that's what they did. And so in two of the movies, um, the first movie, the Incredible Hulk met Thor. You got to look that up. And then the second one was the trial of the Incredible Hulk, and it featured Rex Smith playing Matt Murdock, Daredevil, and it also featured uh, Wilson Fisk, John Rhys Davies, who played Gimli on the Lord of the Rings. He played Wilson Fisk in the 1989 TV movie. So this was not Daredevil's 2003. It was not his first rodeo. We had seen him before, and so here he is now. Of course, this is the thing right here. I mean, like I said, The Crow had a decent cast. It did, but if you go look at the cast of Daredevil, it really sort of does pale in comparison. It's just how it is. Now, whether it be because of the budget or whatnot, I mean, I don't know. I mean, those guys, the people that were cast in The Crow, were pretty solid. They're pretty. I don't know if they necessarily had the same name value in '94 as they did in 2003, but um, so the cast of Daredevil 2003. This is the cast. You had Ben Affleck playing Matt Murdock, Jennifer Garner playing Elektra, Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin, and he is he's such a formidable Kingpin. You had Colin Farrell as Bullseye, um, Joe Pantoliano as Ben York, an intrepid reporter working for they were going to use the Daily Bugle, but they couldn't. They couldn't get the rights to the Daily Bugle, so they had to go with the Post. And they also had John Favreau playing Foggy Nelson, and they had David Keith playing Matt Murdock's father, battling Jack Murdock. Uh, that's the cast for Daredevil, and that's not even half of it. Um, let's go back and talk a little bit more about that cast a little bit because there are others. There are others because the cast is huge. Okay. Well, we had Ellen Pompeo making an appearance as a Karen Page. Leland Orser played Wesley Owen Welch. Uh, 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 we also had Eric Avari played Nicholas Nachos, played Electra's father. Very well known name, very well known actor. We had where is oh, there's even more in here. In fact, one of the actors passed away this year. He passed away. Hey, Drew, how are you? Oh, I don't think anybody says Daredevil 2. Anybody says Daredevil 2003 is a bad movie. Definitely does not. That's not a comic book fan. That's for sure. Let's see. Where is he? Oh, of course. Kevin Smith had a nice cameo too. He played Jack Kirby, forensics assistant. This was a really cool thing that they did too. Um, where is he? Let's see. Frank Miller, who created the probably the greatest run of Daredevil in Marvel Comics. The Frank Miller run of Daredevil is so well known. He also appeared in the movie in a small role. Man, where is he? Wow. Maybe he didn't get okay. I'm just looking for him. I know who he is, but they're not showing him on the he played the boxing promoter, and he's a very, very well known character actor, and he too passed away this year. But if you look at the rest of the cast, it's just absolutely outstanding. And I think that's part of the edge why Daredevil is a little bit of a better movie because it has definitely has better actors in it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Hobbs. No, that was a it's funny. Eric Avari played Nicholas Nachos. Remember, Electro was Greek, so Daredevil itself, the movie itself, was made had a budget. Now, I will say this: I'll give credit where credit's due. Uh, um, the Crow had a 94 million at a 23 million dollar budget. Um, and Daredevil's budget was almost three times as much. Actually, it was $78 million, but it returned $180 million. So, I mean, it returned a lot of money, and it spurned and it's and it Stephen Mark Johnson ended up doing Elektra, and he also ended up doing Ghost Rider. Mark Steven Johnson actually got a Ghost Rider and Elektra. Now, Elektra is not a good movie. That's for a different topic for a different time. It's just like the sequel to The Crows are not very. The Crow did sequels and not very good at that. I don't know anybody who's ever mentioned the Crow sequels, and so but the reason why Elektra is not a good movie is a little different. It wasn't because of the lack of a budget. It was just lack of story and the total misuse of Jennifer Garner. Um, it too had a great cast. Elektra had a strong cast. I mean, it was cool as hell, but they just it was rushed. And like I said, they did not use Jennifer Garner as well as she was used in Daredevil. All right. See, Jim Jim Heffernan's here. He's saying Team Crow all day. Reed is here. He is sitting there going, he's saying, Reed's here saying, "Sup, Patrick? Hey, what's going on, Reed?" Um, Team Crow. Oh, see. And Hobbs says, oh, thanks for coming out, Casey. I appreciate that. Electra was bad indeed. It was bad, but it wasn't. I mean, it was, it almost was rushed. I just feel like it was totally rushed. It didn't give itself any time to breathe. The cast was great. I mean, yeah. Rob Bowman did that one, and you could feel like it was rushed, because Mark Steven Johnson would not have done that. He takes his time. Hell, it took over a year for Ghost Rider to make it to the screen. But Elektra, yeah, he just didn't know. He just didn't know what he had, and that's a real shame because I mean, on paper, that movie should have really rocked it out. But it doesn't distract from the fact from Daredevil 2003. Um, as much as we say that Brandon Lee is the Crow, and I'm one of those, he is the Crow. Ben Affleck is Daredevil. He played a much better Daredevil than he did Batman, and there's not even a question about that. His Matt Murdock is far superior than his Batman, Bruce Wayne Batman. Um, he definitely got into the role. Um, he played Murdoch perfectly. If you go back and read any of the Daredevil books, and then compare it to Affleck's performance, it's spot on. Moody, introspective, um, quietly self-confident, fearless, definitely fearless. Like I said, Frank Miller was a guest in the movie, um, and his run of Daredevil is so well known and beloved. One of the books I got, and I still remember it today, almost 40 years ago, is Daredevil. I think it's 187. I think it is. It could be a little bit later than that, or earlier than that. Uh, but it's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful story about when the Hulk and Daredevil fought. That's right, the Hulk, the Marvel's major powerhouse, and he fought Matt Murdock. Um, and in fact, there is part of that storyline in 2003 Daredevil. The story about Ben Urich discovering Matt Murdock's identity, that came from the storyline when the Hulk met Daredevil. and he could expose his identity or not. And he's in the hospital with Matt Murdock, and he knows this. He knows who Daredevil is, but he doesn't expose it. So that part uh, came from the comic book directly. Um, yeah, see, I don't hate Elektra. I don't hate Elektra. I know a lot of comic book fans really don't like it. Um, I liked it fine. I just was frustrated with the fact that the special effects were just garbage. That's what killed that movie. That movie would have been fine if they would have if someone would have took care of some special effects. But and not made God, they wiped out the bad guys in no time at all. I mean, that the fight scenes between all those between the hand and the Electra should have lasted a lot longer than that. But let's see, Larry is here. The Crow all day, every day. Uh, well, I think our guest Danny Nightmare is going to have something to say with you about that. I think he's ready to battle.
Hey, can you
This
hear
is
me?
he- Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
So,
Been
did
a
you get
day.
your tire fixed?
Yeah, I got my tire fixed. It's on my way to
Did,
Walmart, and thankfully Walmart's like a block away from Discount Tires.
man,
But
I was just glad you were on a freeway.
yeah, it could have been worse. It got really bad on my trip to Canada last weekend. I wrestled up there, and I came back and I noticed the tire was starting to fall apart on me. But I was hoping it'd make it till payday. It didn't, but that's okay because my grandpa showed up and he said, "You know what? Here's your Christmas present." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Wow, he bought you new tires. Awesome.
Yeah, that was really nice of him.
Well, I've been chopping it up a little bit about Daredevil and the Crow. The guys are all rolling in here, so we could definitely go back and recycle some of it. I mean, definitely. Um, wow, I rewatched Daredevil today. I've already rewatched The Crow. First of all, I like both movies. I
I did.
do. I like them both. Um, but like you, like with the other, when I caught you in that chat saying, "Yeah, Daredevil 2003 was weak," I'm like, "Oh, what did he say? Tell me." He just did. He did this. Not he didn't say that, did he?
I
Um,
did.
he did. And but then when I watched The Crow and the Daredevil, I'm going like, I can't really get on you about that because I watched The Crow and I said this did not hold up at all. I mean, except for the acting. But the rest of the movie itself, the pacing and the storyline, uh, just no. But Brandon Lee is the Crow, and I'm not really so sure that I don't know anybody who can fit his shoes.
Yeah,
Uh,
every sequel has just been mid at best because they just can't really fit those shoes, like you said. It's the face paint was his. I mean, the closest that anybody has done to fill the Crow rule, like the role of the Crow, is Sting from pro wrestling. He's the only one who's come close, and if that's kind of like shows that you're in trouble that no one else is going to be able to do it.
yeah, that's not a good thing. I would not. I wouldn't yell that out too loud that Sting played the Crow because
Oh, he didn't play the Crow. He kind of just stole it.
he,
he's,
he just
he's still Sting. He was a wrestler named Sting, but he just look. He stole
oh
the Crow.
oh yeah, he stole the whole look. Yeah, he stole
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Who played the Crow in the sequels?
Oh man, they were different characters. Thankfully, they weren't supposed to be the actual character of the Crow, but they're not good. uh,
Um, yeah, well, sort of like we're talking a little bit about
Eric
Elektra.
Draven.
We're talking about Elektra came out of Daredevil, and it's like, you really wanted that movie to be good, but it just wasn't. It wasn't because of the cast, the cast. It just didn't have very good storyline, and it misused Jennifer Garner, and the effects were just god awful.
Yeah, they were like weird, like I don't know, forest ninjas that turned into snakes and trees and stuff. It
I
was
like that aspect of it. I mean, they look like supervillains, but
yeah,
good lord, they got sneezed on, and that was it.
pretty much.
You know, um. Edward Furlong was the fourth crow. Need we say any more?
Yeah, Eddie. Actually, I never actually watched that one.
Oh,
I think that's
um,
why I didn't watch it. Actually, I think I checked out at that point.
uh,
In City of Angels, I mean, who played him?
wasn't Kristen Dunst in
Vincent
one of those
Perez
movies?
played him. He played Ash Corvez or Vincent. It was Vincent Perez, and it was like his son died, and it was a little different. It wasn't like he wasn't that bad, but the problem with Crow City of Angels is they took like the already kind of comic booky villains of the first Crow, and they just really like went to Saturday morning cartoon with them. Like they were just rip-offs, but just way schlocky in comparison, like way over the top silliness.
Hmm. Let's see. Edward. Let's see. Let's see. Haley just came, Gory came in there. She's gonna type in "old dude crow" in there. I'm sure.
Oh, big Crow.
Old dude crow. Uh, see. Shit. Let's see. Larry's mentioned that Mark Dukakis played the Crow in one of the movies. Now, see that? Yeah, there it is, old Duke Crow. Now, Mark Dukakis, that would have been interesting. If they would have made the movie right after, like okay, 2 years maybe after Brandon had passed, and Mark Dukakis walked in there and took over the role, that might have worked. It could have saved the franchise because Mark Dukakis is a very good martial artist,
Yeah.
and he's not that bad of an actor either. I can watch Mark Dukakis, um, but the series was just the TV series that tried to follow it.
Oh no.
See,
Okay, now
there's so much more wrong with the Crow than other than the first movie, everything after that just went to shit, and it's frustrating
it
as a
is.
fan.
And if we were talking about like that Crow series and then like the Netflix Daredevil series, I would be on the opposite side of this. It'd be the complete
The
opposite.
Daredevil, yeah, the Daredevil series was tight.
Oh,
Yeah, but Daredevil has actually Daredevil actually. Well, but remember though, when Daredevil first popped up, like I mentioned, this was not Daredevil. Daredevil 2003 was not the first appearance of the character. He appeared in 1989's The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which was directed by Bill Bixby, and it
yeah.
featured Rex Smith as Daredevil, and it featured John Rhys Davies, who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He played Wilson Fisk, so it wasn't the first rodeo. Um, let's see. Drum Dums is a producer on The Crow that is in production now.
Oh wow, Lee.
Oh,
Lee.
interested in seeing that one. I don't know. What do you feel? Let me ask you this question first, Danny, because when we were talking about this and leading up to the show, we were talking about like who could fill Brendan Lee's shoes because that is the biggest question. Who are you going to get
Well,
to walk in there? And nobody really, like, do you remake the movie and who are you going to put in the shoes, or should the character just be left alone?
honestly, I don't need anyone else to play Draven. Eric Draven is fine. Like if that's, but I have a feeling they are replacing him in the new movie.
Yeah.
And I'm skeptical for a lot of things, but it's Bill Skarsgård, and honestly, yeah, maybe he can do it. He's been Pennywise. He's been all kinds of other crazy things. He might be able to do it. We'll see. I loved him in a lot of things so far, and he's got like that, that face that might work. I don't know.
I,
We'll
I
see.
just don't feel like I know he got cut for the Northman. I know he went all out and he got in good shape for that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't think he has to grace or the martial arts skills that Brandon Lee had to carry off the character.
That's true. To be honest, Brandon Lee didn't really show off a lot of his martial arts talents in The Crow. There's other movies that he did that better in.
But you still
But
can see him though. You can see it
yeah,
in his movements. You could definitely see that, he came across more like a martial artist, ballet type dancer. I mean, dancer. He was
mm,
light on his feet. I mean, you could tell that he was lethal, and
yeah,
I can appreciate that.
yeah. Even though, like I said, he didn't do a lot of his actual like martial arts. He's just like you said, his movements and just the fact when he does actually get hands on with them, he's someone to be feared. He just like he comes off very threatening, like, and rightfully so. I mean, he's a revenant, come back to
Now,
right the wrongs.
now, while he is, Eric Draven. He did a great job. But at the same time, look at Ben Affleck's turn as Matt Murdock and Daredevil, and I would easily match up with them right across the board. I mean, this is my favorite Ben Affleck role.
Well,
He looks one thing, he looks fucking healthy. He looks. I mean, he looked good in this movie. Physically, he looked good, and his acting was spot on, and his Daredevil is amazing. And you can't deny that. You really can't. I mean, I like him so much better as Daredevil than I did him as Batman. I hated this Batman, but
oh yeah,
I love this Daredevil.
I kind of cringed when I heard he was going to be Batman. I knew that he was not so much that he's a bad actor. Just he's not that committed to playing the same role over and over again. Like I knew it wasn't going to work. I feel like in the Daredevil show, I even prefer that Daredevil because Charlie Cox it kind of like made him. He's going to be grateful to the character. He's going to like want it. He's going to be hungry for it. Even in Daredevil, I don't feel like Ben Affleck was that hungry.
You don't think
And
so? I think he was. I think he captured Matt Murdock perfectly. The character, he captured him perfectly. That's his demeanor in the comic book. He's a little bit sullen. He is a little bit of a firebrand for justice. He's introspective. I mean, I think he captured all that perfectly. You know, uh, uh,
I don't think he did bad. It just, but when I heard he was gonna be Batman, I kind of thought back to his Daredevil, and I just never. I knew that he was gonna like pull out of being Batman, and he eventually did. He just like, yeah, how many times do I legally have to be this character again, and before I can quit? And he just fulfilled his things, and he moved on. Or there's a lot of people who are like, I will play that character to the day I die if you let me, and I just never kind of got that vibe from Ben Affleck.
I got that from 2003. I think if he would have asked to come back to play Daredevil again, he would have. As a matter of fact, there is a deleted scene from Elektra where he does come in and he makes an appearance in Elektra, but
Yeah,
it got cut. So he was willing to come in and do the work. Um, and quite honestly, we got to really talk about this too, and that is now The Crow has a good cast. It has a good cast,
yeah.
but Daredevil has a fucking great cast. It blows the Crow supporting cast away. It really does. I mean, it's not even if you took Brandon Lee out of the Crow, I mean, you could take Ben and Brandon out of the movie, and we wouldn't even be talking about it because the Daredevil would be just so much better.
I don't know. I
But
mean, maybe because I'm a horror guy, but I prefer Ernie Hudson, Tony Todd, and John Polito more than anybody I really see in Daredevil. Just
oh
because I'm
wow,
maybe because I'm a horror guy. I'm not gonna lie. I know that Daredevil definitely is like big bucks money. Colin Farrell, Jennifer Gardner. They got
but
Michael
they were
Clark in there,
great.
Duncan.
But they
So
were
they have some
great.
big.
I mean, I know Vincent D'Onofrio is doing Wilson Fisk right now, but
Mhm.
honestly, if Michael Clark Duncan was still alive, I still want him there. He played a great Kingpin.
No,
He,
he was great Kingpin. I
I mean,
actually admit that. I will think that his villainy, but and there's things I like Colin Farrell in, but this was not one of them. I can't stare at his head and not laugh a little bit every time I see him in that movie. And when he's
um,
throwing little darts, I don't know, just the effects have not held up too well on all that.
I would have been cool. It would have been cool, like when we first meet him, because I think he fucking steals every scene he's in. I mean, Colin Farrell is as Bullseye is spot on. It's spot on. The only thing that he didn't get was I wish they would have was the fact that I wish they would have gave him his costume when he said that. I want a fucking costume. I wish they
Yeah,
would have gave him his costume for the fight, for the final
they should
fight.
have. That would have been
Wow,
better.
let me go to the chat room. You guys have been flying through here. Let me just catch up here. Holy shit. All right. Wow. Okay. Hi, Scottish Geek. How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Big fan of both these movies. So are we. Well, I'm probably a bigger fan of The Crow than Danny is of Daredevil, but we'll forgive him for that.
I'm a big
Um,
fan of both characters. Let's put it that way. I love
um,
both Daredevil and I love the Crow.
see, let's see. Gory mentions, yeah, I mentioned about the production. He's going to be interested in seeing the Crow. Let's see. Mayanne is here. Hello, Mayanne. How are you? How are you? Let's see. Jim mentions our friend Jim. The TV show had Draven coming back from the grave instead of killing them to avenge his and Shelley's death. He kind of just scolds them for being bad friends.
Yeah, like I said, if it was the TV show, I'd be on the other side completely.
Uh, let's see. Let's see. Man saying hello. Everybody saying hi to everybody. Let's see. And Gory saying agree. There are many other crows other than Draven, but Draven's the one that everybody remembers and circles around.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Let's see. Hi Sue. How are you? Glad you're here. Uh, does it really have to be a martial artist movie though? I don't think. I think they deliberately did tamp that down because of that. You know, they're like, okay, we know you're a martial artist, but I think that Brandon Lee he did ask to be, for his part to be more written for to be dramatic. Because you don't want to get typecast. Every movie you're doing is kung fu. But still, his character when he comes back for fighting skills wise, that Brandon Lee is there. He's capable of kicking ass if he
Oh
needs
yeah,
to. Yeah, I mean, you can't put that out aside because you know who Brandon Lee is, and you expect a little bit of that. But I do believe that he did want to act more and to be a character more than just a chop socky. Like okay, here we
yeah,
go. So
exactly.
um, let's see. So let's see. Drew's meant to say everybody saying hi. Gory says Daredevil gets a bad rap. It's a lot of fun and the soundtrack is killer. Yeah, that soundtrack is fire.
Yeah,
Uh,
but the Crow soundtrack, I'd have to say, is even a little better.
I tell you, the one soundtrack that trumps them both though is the soundtrack from Spawn.
Oh yeah,
Man, I love that soundtrack. That soundtrack's fire.
but I
Uh,
mean, as far as soundtracks played, I think Bride of Chucky and The Crow are the two that I've played the most in my life. The two that I put in my boombox, my headphones, like just the CDs. I think I wore The Crow and Bride of Chucky out.
Um, yeah, the music, the score for the movies are both really good.
Yeah.
They really are. They did definitely help bring in the atmosphere. So both soundtracks are really really good. I mean, the Daredevil one was because I had Evansons in it. It was everywhere, much more than the Crow soundtrack was too. It's just I don't know what because Amy Lee was just that much bigger of a star, I guess. I mean, for the whole summer, I think that really helped Daredevil's box office too because of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Let's see. Larry saying he didn't like Ben Affleck's Batman, but I did like his version of Bruce Wayne. You know what I'm like that with? I'm very much with you, Larry, in that is with George Clooney. Did not like him as Batman, but I loved Clooney as Bruce Wayne.
That's how I feel
Um,
about Christian Bale. Like, I think he looks like a Bruce Wayne. He's got the Playboy kind of mannerism look to him, but when he's got that smoker voice on Batman, it's just like,
I mean, I definitely think Christian Bale is definitely my favorite Batman of them all. But I mean, as far as the playing the character, like I said, I mean George Clooney. I mean, he feels sorry for him watching that. Watching him Batman, Batman and Robin. He looks so self conscious. He hates being there, and it comes across on the screen. It really does. He's not happy to be there. but he got
said
paid.
he admits that it's bad casting, but he's like, would you turn down the role of Batman? And no, I wouldn't. I mean, it's
No, he
bad
got no
casting.
the
I don't
money.
think I
Yeah,
should play Batman, but if like Hollywood came knocking down my door, throwing millions of dollars at me, saying, "Be Batman," I'd do it.
sure. I think that's really what it was. I mean, Clooney. I mean, I think it was one of those. I think it was probably his biggest role up to that point, as far as as far as
Paycheck wise.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so why not? Let's see. Matt and Electra had great chemistry, and that playground fight was fun. They also included the Catholic side of Matt as well. I agree. See, those all came from the comic, and the one thing I really appreciate very much about Mark Steven Johnson is the fact that he used Jennifer Garner perfectly. Um,
She was a lot better in Daredevil than she was in her own movie. But like you said, that was more writing and directing's fault than hers necessarily. However, would Ben Affleck come back to do a sequel now? I mean, he's not married to her anymore. He's back with J-Lo, so
No, I don't. I don't. I think Ben App. No, I don't think he. I mean, Charlie Cox is Daredevil right now. It's a
yeah.
shame that they can't get him to a movie, get him to a screen. I would
I'm
like
just
to see.
saying, like, if they're gonna do a multiverse, because we had the other Spider-Mans come back, so it would like if they were like, oh, let's bring the other Daredevil back and have him interact with Charlie Cox. I don't think he'd do it.
Well, I
Which is
thought he
fine.
did. I thought Spider-Man did interact with Charlie Cox, but
Well,
did
he
they
did.
keep
I'm
it?
just saying, would Ben Affleck come back if they wanted to do the same thing for
Oh,
Daredevil?
right, right. I could. I could see that. See, comparing the soundtracks, Gory No Contest, the Crow All Day. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't
All
go
day and
that
all
far at
night.
all. No, I think Evanston's really does. I mean, I do believe that the soundtrack to the Daredevil might have outsold the soundtrack to Crow because of Evanston's.
Well,
Um,
also like depending on when CDs were at their height as well, because nowadays CDs don't sell, but I think by the early 2000s, yeah, the CDs were still selling pretty well. So
pretty well. Both scores are really good too.
yeah, they're both really done
They're
well.
both really good. I had the Daredevil soundtrack, and I don't collect soundtracks. I only collect scores, but I did get the soundtrack of Daredevil because I really enjoyed it. Um, let's see. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Tony Todd was awesome as well. He and
Mhm.
Michael Wincott. Yeah, he plays a great villain, but him and Tony Todd are great, but Michael Clark Duncan and Colin Farrell, all day, every day, they just ruled it. They absolutely ruled it as villains. Um, and I mean,
I don't know.
it's
I mean, even nowadays, I think Tony Todd is way more intimidating. I've met them, and Tony Todd is like just going to get an autograph from the guy.
Tony Todd. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was great seeing him on there. It was great seeing him on in the movie, but man, when I compare the roles and the roles, man, Michael Clark Duncan, and the thing about Michael Clark Duncan, if you really watch him, he doesn't say a lot, but he doesn't have to. He says everything. He comes up there and he says, "I'm just saying goodbye,
He's
old
a
friend."
great kingpin.
I mean, he's just wow. And again, I see Gory says that the weakest part is Colin Farrell's Bullseye.
Yeah,
Oh, oh,
with the weird bullseye in his head, he looks silly. It's just I can't look at it. It's just like it's too
okay,
funny.
part of that was because it's just like anything else. A lot of the studios were freaking afraid to put. I mean, it's actually pretty impressive that they actually put Ben Affleck in the costume. He wore the comic book accurate costume, and as a matter of fact, so did actually Rex Smith. Rex Smith wore the yellow and black costume in the movie, uh, and Ben Affleck wore the costume in the movie. Um, but Bullseye, they should have put him in a costume.
They
When
should
he
have.
said when he said he wanted a fucking costume, they should have gave him because Bullseye's costume has that scar on it. That's what's on
Yeah,
his costume.
yeah, it
The
looks
thing on
better
his
on
head,
a costume.
right?
Honestly, it was a redemption story for Bullseye though, because the prequel that came out the year before, Phone Booth, where he was the target the whole time, he wanted to make sure that he would be the one shooting from then on.
Yeah, Just he's just absolutely crazy good as Bullseye. Like I said, he steals every scene he's in. I never miss. Where
But then he
he
misses.
the final fight scene between him and Daredevil, as one of the best in comics, and they managed to do it without Marvel. Marvel's has a really and DC both have a really bad habit of killing all their villains. Daredevil did not do that.
No.
Uh, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, he definitely fucks up Bullseye though. He yeah, and he didn't. When he threw him out the window, he didn't know what was I think when he threw him out, it was with intent to kill his ass. If he hadn't fallen on Ben's car, um, he would have died. And I don't think Daredevil would have cared, but they didn't kill him off, and I was so happy about that. The last scene we see him in the hospital room, he's totally he's almost every bone in his body's broken, but he still has the skill where he hits the fly and he goes bullseye. Watch it in the theater. Everybody laughed at that scene. Everybody's like, because he was just badass.
Were we supposed to be laughing at it? I don't. I mean, I know that they were going for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, because that movie really set the bar for superhero movies at the time, where they wanted to have that humor. But I don't know. I feel like maybe the humor was a little too much in Daredevil for me.
Really?
Maybe it was a little too silly for me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, because it was one of those. But the humor came just basically from one person though,
Yeah.
and that was John Favreau.
Yeah.
And tell
Who
me,
came back later on in the Marvel movies nowadays? So
oh my God, is it any more evidence that John Favreau was a comic book geek? Because he was a comic book geek.
he
He
is.
appeared as Foggy Nelson, and then 3 years later, he's doing Iron Man. He wanted
Yeah.
to be part of the Marvel universe.
He also gave us a lot to go on the Star Wars universe as well, with the whole Mandalorian and stuff. So
Yeah,
he is an amazing person, and I'm glad he's out there creating.
I am too. And his Foggy Nelson, I agree with you. It was a little bit too, because Foggy Nelson, the character, he's actually a pretty good lawyer. He's actually a
Yeah.
really good lawyer, and he cares about Matt a lot. And he's not a Marvel characters always seem to be joking, and but in the comics, Foggy Nelson really never joked. He's always he's always straight. He wasn't just popping off one-liners as you see in a lot of the comic books. Let's see. Let me catch up here. Chat is flying. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Let's see. Jim mentions Crow has a crazy. Yep, we did that one. The Crow's Big Empty did win an MTV Movie Award for Best Song of the Year. I would have to go back to see if they were still doing it in 2000 and 2003.
I think so.
I know MTV was all. Oh God, you turn on MTV and all,
The late
you heard
2000s.
Evanescence all the time. The Big Empty is a great track. Graham Ravel also created a great score for The Crow. One of my favorite composers. Also loved The Craft. His score also won the BMI Film Music Award. Let's see. He did pick up The Crow. He did. Larry says he picked up The Crow, the score of The Crow on vinyl earlier this year. So that's good to see that. It's good to see that some of these
I'd actually
movies
like
are
to get
still
that on
out.
vinyl.
Of course, we're also agreeing that Michael Clark Duncan ruled as the Kingpin.
Yeah, I agree.
See,
So in what's his name in the series, he killed it too. So far there hasn't been a bad Kingpin live action.
No, there hasn't.
They both had different takes on it, but they both felt like the right character. So
I like the last fight they had. One thing that they gave Daredevil his due. He when he had to kick ass, he did kick ass. He really blew up Bullseye, and then he basically destroyed the Kingpin's knees when he blew them both out. That was interesting. Let's see. And Danny makes a good point. Daredevil was riding the tails of the Spider-Man film success.
Yeah.
The Crow was truly one of a kind film that continues to have a lasting impression. Um, yeah, I mean,
That's not Daredevil's fault. It just is what it is.
yeah,
Because I mean, X-Men proved that a movie could be successful. Spider-Man was not only successful, but everybody really loved Spider-Man. They're just like, oh wow, this is like what superhero movies should be. And then we got Hulk and Daredevil, and Hulk was that was bad. But Daredevil, it wasn't bad necessarily, but it was in the shadows of Spider-Man at this moment. So
uh,
it like was trying to be just like it because that was what was a proven formula.
well, I think there was some calculation about that because, like I said, I mean, Daredevil had already made an appearance on before the Crow when he appeared on the Hulk movie, and so they got an idea what they could do. I mean, the movie, the TV movie didn't do bad as far as ratings go. Now, do
No,
people talk about that movie? No, not really. But you
most
know,
of
it's
the
a door.
Marvel TV movies are in the past.
It's a door. It's a door opener.
Yeah.
So I mean, then you had the Crow. The Crow led led to Spawn. Spawn led to Blade. Blade led to Spider Man. Spider Man led to Daredevil.
Well, even like before the Crow was the original Ninja Turtle movie, which was actually very dark. Like a lot of people, like they made the sequels a lot more kid friendly, but that first one, like it, even though it does have fun moments in it, it's a very dark movie, and it was taking from a lot of the comic book source, which the Ninja Turtles comic book was very dark. And honestly, it's funny because they were unofficially created the same by Daredevil. The same ooze that sprayed Daredevil's eyes
right.
unofficially fell down to the sewer and mutated the turtles. So
No,
all kind of comes around.
I'll give the credit for Daredevil too is that they stayed accurate. The you know as far as for most of the origin story, there that was true. Matt did see his father, acting as a strong arm guy, but he got blinded when he saved an old man who was going in front of the street and he
Mhm.
pushed him out of the road, and then he got that toxic chemical on his face. But the rest of it is pretty much spot on. His dad went to fight, and he got killed for not throwing a fight,
Yeah.
and he got killed afterwards. That was accurate. And one of the cool things I noticed about Daredevil too, if you really washed out, if you're really a comic book fan, is a lot of the characters in the movie were all named after Marvel Comics writers and inkers. Quesada, Jack Kirby. They're all those names of those real people were given to characters within the Daredevil movie as a homage.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that
Um,
was really fun.
Speaking of homage, though, like in homages to it, uh, the director Mark Steven Johnson straight up said that he was kind of remaking The Crow because he loves The Crow. That's why the whole Fire D&D thing was like the same thing as the calling card of The Crow was leaving. And there's a bunch of other scenes that are very similar. It's because he really loved The Crow. However, I have to say, who did it better with the Fire? Do you think the Fire looking like a crow, or do you like the D&D better?
Uh,
Uh,
I got to go with the Crow for that. I mean, I don't think Daredevil. I mean, I don't think that would. I would have to go back, back to my memory to see. I don't remember Daredevil ever doing that in the comic book, though.
no. That was because like the
Daredevil.
director straight up said he was doing The Crow. That's why he said that.
So I mean, but let's see. Let me catch up. Oh yes, we're gonna talk about that too. That's also it also came afterwards. Let's see. MTV still had movie awards then. Colin Farrell won Best Villain, Jennifer Garner Best Breakthrough Female Performance, and Affleck and Garner Best Kiss. Wow, there you go. So
Yeah,
they were loving both The Crow and Daredevil. Um,
rightfully so.
let's see, and then let's not forget Ghost Rider. Uh, yeah,
Okay, let's talk about the directors as well because yes, Mark Steven Johnson, who did Daredevil, went on to do
Ghost
Ghost
Rider.
Rider,
And
and but I can't, and that's I don't like Ghost Rider. I'm gonna start that right now. But I can't throw shade completely because even the director of The Crow, uh, Alex, I can't ever
Alex
say his
Proyas.
Proyas, yeah. He went on to do Knowing, another bad Nicolas Cage movie. So they're both guilty of that.
Uh, well, I was okay. I was actually thinking if you would. I was actually expecting you to bring up Gods of Egypt.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not good either. But
but but I because I saw Knowing. I thought Knowing was different. I didn't expect the ending,
it's
but
like the same movie as the other Nicolas Cage that came out around the same time called Next. Like, there's not
yeah.
much difference.
Oh,
They
that
just
was oh god. Next was interesting. That
they're
was a
like the
cool
same
movie.
movie, and they came out. And I love Nicolas Cage, I do. But around this time of his life, he was doing these weird, just action movies that felt soulless. He wasn't even getting to be Crazy Cage like his earlier work and his more modern work, where he just gets to be insane and just do what he wants and has fun and show his personality. He was just doing these like kind of cash in big budget movies, but they were just like kind of action movies and stuff that he was going through the motions. It felt like as him as an actor, anyways.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I was gonna say for as far as that goes, I was actually just to go back to Proyas. I think Proyas got a lot. I think he got as much as he could get from his cast, and I
mhm,
think Johnson did as well.
yeah,
I just think in this case that Johnson did it better because like I said, I think the casting wise, that's really what gives Daredevil its big edge for me. Is that cast is just it's fire. Everybody there is top notch, including he used Jennifer Garner the best way. That is, and it always kills me when directors like there's two actresses that I watch, and neither one use them the way they should be. One is Jennifer Garner, and two is Monica Bellucci. They're never used. But I thought they did a really good job with Jennifer Gardner and Daredevil in the fact they let her do something that nobody else really does a lot, and that is they let her fucking smile. Dude, Jennifer Garner has the prettiest smile in Hollywood and has for years. When she smiles, she lights up the room. She absolutely lights it up. She's got the
no,
best smile. It's that's and I think that's what worked against her in Elektra is because her character was so doom and gloom and
oh,
showed no joy, and she had no joy, and so and that's one of the reasons why I sank Elektra. I was like, wow, nobody wants to see that. When she smiles, when she's happy, people respond to that.
yeah,
Um, so Ninja Turtles, God, I haven't seen that in years.
that's all right. I'm gonna straight up say the original Ninja Turtle movie is the best comic book superhero movie of all time.
Oh,
They have not done anything better than the original one.
let's see. Anyone can wear the crow makeup, and you instantly think of the movie more so than even the comic. It's iconic. It's an iconic film. Um,
No, like I said, Sting just straight
I
up
don't.
used it.
Honestly, I don't think there's. They're remaking the movie, and hopefully it'll be received well. But it has been a long time. I'm not so sure the people. I'm not so sure that I'm just not so sure that it's going to be received as well as it was the first time.
Here's a
I'm just
compliment to both characters.
uh,
Daredevil had made lawyers cool. How that it's like almost impossible, right? Making a lawyer cool.
well, Perry
But
Mason.
Crow made mimes cool. How can you? That's impossible too. That's like she can't make a mime cool, but the Crow did it.
I thought Perry Mason made lawyers cool. Let's see. Let's see.
Columbo.
Now Sting based his whole wrestling persona on the look of the crow. Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Let's see. See, people are talking about Nicolas Cage. Yep, Nicolas Cage. I hear he says he's going to be retiring pretty soon.
Oh, that's sad.
Um,
'Cause he's been on a great streak of movies lately. If you would
see,
have
I
told me he
feel
was
that
going to retire in 2009, I probably would have been okay with it. But he's redemption since then. Plenty of great movies have come out.
See, I feel that Daredevil just cast big names. Garner got it because of Alias. It wasn't about fitting the characters. Honestly, they should have cast a Greek actress with some fighting skills. You know what? I'll counter that. I think that Jennifer Garner's fighting skills that she got because of Alias transferred very well to the Crow. She looked very believable as a fighter. I liked her fight scenes both with Daredevil with Ben. With Ben in the playground, and I thought the fight scene that she had with Matt was on the roof was really strong. I do think that remember, this is before Elektra died and came back.
Yeah.
So when she came back, that's when her skill set really kicked in. In fact, it even showed that in on the Defender series, where she came back. Sigourney Weaver whispers her, rings her in, and she comes in the iconic red outfit. And even then, I keep saying Ben. Even then, Daredevil's holding back a little bit, but that's to his peril because she's definitely his equal. Um, and it took Iron Fist to save Daredevil's life in the Defenders because he was pulling his punches, and it's
Iron
like,
Fist was the only one I wasn't a fan of. Of all the Netflix shows, I think Daredevil and Jessica Jones are like two of the best things that Netflix has ever done.
yeah.
But
And Iron Fist was one of the worst things they ever did.
yeah, it's like, how are you doing this so badly? I feel like the other ones, like, they're all right. There wasn't like the ones in between that, but Iron Fist was just like, no, can we just not have
Oh my
this?
god, I think Iron Fist is honestly, I mean, of all, okay, other than the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think that the Iron Fist season one was probably the worst thing that Marvel's ever done
Yeah.
by far. Oh my god, that was. Oh, I went over to my buddy's house to binge watch it. We were all amped up. We have food and everything. We were so excited to watch Iron Fist, and then at the end of the third episode, we're looking at each other, going like, "What the
Yeah,
hell is this?" I have
exactly. That's
never
how I
seen.
felt too. I was just like, because I mean, I love Jessica Jones. I love Daredevil. Luke Cage was good. It wasn't like as good as those two, but it was still good. And then Iron Fist was just like, what? Why? Why? Like, this is a joke, right? Like, where's the real show? Like,
Right, right. It was very painful. Um, so I think Garner got it. But she could hold her own. I mean, she looked like she can handle herself.
yeah.
It didn't look like she could. She fought really well on screen. She was totally believable as a fighter. And the fight scene in the playground, that was cool as well. That was a lot of fun. Um, and you could definitely see the chemistry between Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck in their interaction. That comes across really, really strong in Daredevil.
I
They
never
were
thought their fights were like sincere though. I mean, it was like I don't think you were supposed to. You knew they were both holding back because they liked each other, but
right,
so that's fine. But yeah, they had good chemistry, and obviously it was real. They got married for a long time, and I believe they had kids, right? So
right.
sad. It's actually really sad that they honestly didn't stay together.
Um,
And yeah, she was a badass. That's
yeah.
the like one thing. This is definitely in Spider-Man's shadow, but it had a strong woman who could like hold her own, and that's one thing Spider-Man didn't have. It had Kristen Dunst, who appeared in The Crow 3, and she's like way more high build than even the guy who played the Crow, Eric Mabius. But
Oh,
yeah,
Eric Mabius played the Crow.
yeah, and Crow 3, and actually that's my second. It's my I guess my favorite sequel or whatever. It was the one with Kristen Dunst, and
I have to go. I have
they
to watch.
changed it up.
I'm a huge Eric Mabius fan. Uh, that's the God.
And Kristen
I'm
Dunst
not
is
gonna
in
say.
it
I'm
too.
not gonna say. I'm not gonna say why because I'll just get crushed if I tell you that. Um, yeah. Some of the people. I'm so glad some of the people aren't here in the chat because they would be roasting my ass about right now.
That's my
I think
favorite
the one.
Crow movie that isn't the actual Crow. Because they did it a little differently. Because, like I said, my big problem with City of Angels Part Two is they just took the same bad guys basically and then amped them up to extra Looney Toonies, and I didn't like that. But in Crow 3, the bad guys are actually cops. They're just crooked cops. They're not like cartoony bad guys. They're just crooked cops, and they electrify the Crow, and so actually it's burns on him from the electric chair. That's what his makeup is. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
The one thing that really got me, the big weakness when I was watching The Crow, the big weakness that hurt the movie so bad for me, I thought the pacing was really slow. It
First
was
Crow?
slow. Yeah, first Crow, the pacing, I was like, do something, do something, do something, and nothing really got going. It took forever before it really kicked in the gear,
I mean,
and the
playful
pacing,
fight
the
on the
pacing.
rooftop or, playing guitar on the rooftop. It's just, for me, they're both fine.
I just waited for something to happen. Watching, I'm like, wow, this is just so sluggish. I don't remember it being sluggish. I remember it being a little bit quicker because Alex Proyas can direct a fight. He can do fight scenes. He knows what he wants, and he can get a good fight scene. Um, and yes, I'm going to sit there and say I'm going to refer everybody to Gods of Egypt for that because they had some cool ass fight scenes in that movie.
That's one thing the movie definitely had. It had some good fight scenes.
Uh, 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 uh,
I like
definitely, it's rewatchable. It's rewatchable, but it's slow. I mean, it's slow, especially compared to Daredevil. Daredevil just came out and hit the ground running. Even the origin was really quick. And then they got into it. Even and the director's cut of Daredevil is the one to see. That's the one that did not get into theaters. I think they added like 5 or 6 more minutes into it, and definitely added more punch to it.
One more point for Alex Proyas over Mark Johnson, though, is Alex Proyas did Dark City, and I love Dark City.
Dark City is amazing.
They both don't have like an amazing repertoire of movies that they've done, but at least I can say Alex has 2 really good hits on his hand. So
Actually, I mean, I know a lot of people. Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because I see it more like a cult favorite. But I really did enjoy Gods of Egypt. I thought that was a lot of fun, and
I should give it another chance. I do remember it had good fighting and like action in it, but I should go back and watch it. Also, I mean, I'm not a big giant fan of it, but iRobot was like a successful movie.
So. iRobot was good too. That was interesting as well. Will Smith, he put on the boots for that movie. It was a lot of it was very exciting. It's a very underrated film, I think. iRobot is very strong. Just like to me, it's like I love Ghost Rider. For an origin story, I think Ghost Rider is a lot of fun as well. I totally have no problem with it, except for again, there's one weakness that he did in Ghost Rider that happened in Elektra, and that is he made his villains like paper thin. They didn't mean anything. I mean, It's like that's what hurt Elektra, and that's what hurt Ghost Rider. It's like Blackheart's great, but all his henchmen or whatever, why even bother? Nobody cares. Nobody who knew who they were. Let's see. Larry says let's see. At the time they had to cut back due to Brandon's death. Yeah, that might have been. They might have had to put some padding of that in there for that. Of course, that's the unfortunately sad legacy of The Crow is that it was Brandon Lee's last movie.
He died for that performance. So
yeah, I mean, he definitely he gave a killer performance. Yeah, too much.
Well, I mean, it's the Lee curse because even Bruce Lee got shot during the Green Hornet. So I mean, damn it, people need to check those guns, man. They need to like not put real bullets in those fucking guns.
Exactly. I mean, the same thing happened when he got killed. Everybody's running around, talking about safety. Of course, over the course of 20, 30 years, people forget until somebody else dies, like that camera woman did.
Yeah, recently. Which nowadays it really baffles me because nowadays there should be no bullets in the guns. Like the guns don't even need to actually fire, as far as I'm concerned, because you can do all that, the noise and even the little burst fire and stuff. You can do that all in post nowadays.
Yeah.
There really no reason for a gun to
I've had directors tell me now that they will no longer use any, they will no longer use any weapons, real weapons. They'll just use the fake weapons, and they'll put the rest of it in post. I know several.
Nowadays you might as well do that. There's no reason to have blanks. I mean, I get it back when the first Crow came out. I get it because we didn't have that like good CGI technology and stuff. But nowadays it's like that's an easy thing to put in. So.
Of course, Michael Clark Duncan went on to do he did on do the Scorpion King. He did on doing the Green Mile, but he himself passed away prematurely as well. He passed away prematurely as well. So both movies have been tinged by tragedy as well. That binds them together as well. Of course, they had some cool cameos. in Daredevil. They had Frank Miller, who drew the most iconic Daredevil run in the magazine's history. I mean, when you talk to true Daredevil fans, you sit there and say, "What's your favorite Daredevil?" They're gonna bring up Frank Miller's run. Frank Miller's run was absolutely outstanding, and included. I mentioned this earlier. It included a storyline from his story. He had Daredevil facing off against the Hulk, and that's where the Ben Urich story angle came on, because in that arc right there, Ben Urich went to Daredevil and knew who he was, but he chose not to expose him. And Kevin Smith came on board and played a forensic scientist named Jack Kirby, and he gave Ben Urich Daredevil's baton, and that's how Ben Urich knew who Daredevil was.
Oh yeah, I mean Jack Kirby, the guy does no wrong really, but so he makes a lot of things great.
Yeah. So I mean, Daredevil has been around too. Daredevil is one of the first heroes that Stan Lee introduced. As far as that goes, he came out early. He came out in the '60s. In fact, him and Spider-Man, they connected quite a. They met each other quite a bit. And when they did the crossovers on the comic books, they brought over. They paired Batman with Daredevil because they're both very much alike. And
Jack Kirby, both. So.
And Daredevil actually got Bullseye was the villain they're facing, and Batman hit Bullseye, and Bullseye's going to sleep. He says, "You hit even harder than Daredevil does." Let's see. Yes, I think, because honestly, I agree. I agree with this. I do believe that if Brandon Lee had lived and the Crow had. But then again, you wonder too, would the Crow have done as much business with Brandon Lee alive than he did when he died? That's another thing.
Would everybody still like The Dark Knight as much if that was the case too? I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, they gave great performances, and we shouldn't take that away from it. But maybe yes, the popularity is in their deaths. I hate to say it, but maybe it is.
I think Brandon Lee looked at the Crow as a launching pad, because up to that time he'd done a lot of cop buddy movies, and he'd done little like a Showdown in Little Tokyo and whatnot, and I think that he was hoping that the Crow would launch him into the mainstream, and I think that's what he wanted. He wanted to be launched to the mainstream. Ben Affleck, even though he was a star, but he was not the mega star that he would later on turn out to be. I mean, it was a stepping stone for him. So, yeah. It's a real shame about Brandon Lee, though. That just sucks.
We'll never know, sadly, and I kind of wish we could have, but it is what it is.
I mean, both movies, like I said, first and foremost, I like them both. I like both movies. It's not a case where it's like, well, one movie's bad, one movie's good. Oh. They're both good. They're both good. Just one's better, and that's all. But for different reasons. Because you're right. I mean, you're right. I mean, the budget that Marvel, that Daredevil got was $80 million, and that was 2003. That's a lot. That was a lot of money.
Because X-Men and Spider-Man proved that a big budget comic book superhero movie can pay off. So that's why they threw it in there. Obviously, they didn't get what they wanted in return, because Spider-Man got 3 movies. X-Men got several more movies. Daredevil got a spin-off.
I think Electra killed that for Daredevil coming back. I think that the Electra was so poorly received and did so poorly that I don't think that I think they just saw that and were like, yeah, we're gonna pass on that.
Yeah, like I said, it got a spin-off, and unfortunately that was really panned, which it wasn't good. I mean, no offense to her, because she did fine. I think she was fine as Electra. Just the movie itself was just, I don't know what they were thinking.
Well, they actually brought back one character from Electra. They brought it back to the Defenders, and that was Stick.
Yeah.
Played by Terrence.
Stick in Defenders. I mean, he was also in the Daredevil series as well, but
right.
As
As far as the he was played by Terrence Stamp in Elektra, and then he was played by Scott Glenn in the Defenders.
I think of him more of a Scott Glenn, but like I said, I really like that Daredevil show. So if we were talking shows, I would be completely on the other side. And on this side, I'm not even completely, because I mean, there is good in Daredevil. I play it at my work all the time. I have like this novelty shop, and we have VHSs and movies, and like we have laser discs and everything for sale. I throw in the VHS of Daredevil all the time. So it's not that I hate it. It's just, for me, it was a little silly. That's all I'm going to say.
But you can't say old. You can't say old dude Daredevil though.
Old dude, Colin Farrell.
Old dude Bullseye.
Old dude Bullseye.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Affleck is nowhere as good as Charlie Cox in the Netflix series.
I like Charlie Cox more. I do. I really like him more. I'd be honest.
I think he got to. Yes, Garner hated the Electra movie. I don't blame her. That movie's not good at all. I mean, it's a total waste.
No offense to Jennifer Garner, because she's great. It's just what they gave her to do was why. Like, this was almost felt like one of those dreams where it's not a good dream and you're kind of awake, but you're trying to wake yourself all the way up because you're like, why am I dreaming this? I just rather wake up. And that's how I felt with Jennifer Garner, or not the Electra movie. I'm like,
I don't know why they kept on sticking her on all these different, all these dramatic roles too. And to me, it's like the movie I really like a lot for her, and it was
13 going on 30.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. That movie is absolutely so much fun.
Yeah, I play that at my work too.
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely she dazzles in that movie, and it's like, wow, that's like, I don't care if she plays a murderer, I don't care if she plays a bad guy, but at least you gotta have her smile.
Let her smile, let her have fun. She's actually even smiling on the poster of that one, from what I remember.
Let's see. So she hated it. Yeah, as far as Charlie Cox goes in the Netflix series, I mean, that may be true, but there's one reason why though, and that is he gets more room to breathe. You know what I'm saying? He becomes the character more. He understands it more, and that's the benefit and the advantage of doing a series, is that you got a longer time to develop the character.
Yeah, each episode is a learning point.
You don't get to do that in a movie. I mean, I thought he did really well in the movie. And I tell you, the scene that I really liked about Daredevil that really makes it stand out, and to me, it's my one singular favorite scene in the movie, is after he comes in from his patrol, after he has those fights, where with the cop, and he's standing in the shower, and he reaches in there and he pulls down a tooth. He drops the tooth down. That is just an amazing scene to me as a comic book fan and as a movie fan, to show that vulnerability. Like, he's not a Spider-Man, he's not a Superman, he's not the Crow. He's human, and he can be hurt, and he can feel pain. And when he's standing there and he's just, and you see his back, when he takes off his costume, and you see his back, it's just been beat to shit. He's human. And in the comic books, you hear that you always see that with him, like, because most of the time, most of the people he fought were always super powered, and he was sitting there saying, I'm no match for these guys. Because the only thing he had going for him was his senses. He wasn't superhuman. He didn't have superhuman strength. He was human. I mean, hell, even and he didn't have all the gear like Batman. Batman's a walking army.
Oh, yeah.
And Daredevil doesn't have that gear. He just has.
Daredevil wasn't born a billionaire, like orphan, right, like Batman or Iron Man or whatever. Like all these, even the Iron Fist, super rich, just orphan.
Right. And he had and of course he had the Iron Fist. But I mean, Daredevil is very human.
He's an orphan, but he wasn't given a bunch of money by his dad, who was murdered for not throwing a fight.
Right. I mean, he had everything he had to do.
Pulp Fiction, when Bruce Willis doesn't throw the fight, he gets the hell out of town. But it's like his dad wasn't like that lucky to get out of town. He just got killed, and his son was blinded.
Let's see. It says in the final fight of the Crow, Eric doesn't have his powers, but he goes inside the building anyway to save Sarah and avenge Shelley.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the one thing I wanted to say. Like I love what you said about Daredevil and the showing the vulnerability. And yes, he's not super powered other than his obviously he has some superpowers, but it's not like a healing power or whatnot. The Crow is pretty invulnerable until his powers are taken away from him, but he is an undead embodiment of pain. That is exactly how he wins the day, by sharing Shelley's pain. He has that deep inside of him, and he lets the villain he just gives him all the pain that she went through as she was on life support forever, like trying to survive when they basically raped her to death. And it's fucked up, but that's what he is. So I have to say there's like this sympathy for both characters in different ways completely.
let's see. Let's see. Yeah, because he did he was sort of like a Ghost Rider's the penance stare, and that's
It's
what.
pretty similar, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's like, hey, like feel all this pain that I've held inside of me. So even though he is immortal unless you hurt his crow, he's still he has that in him. So he feels pain. He's constantly feeling her pain. Like he keeps that inside of him, and he just opens it
Mhm.
like a lockbox and shares it. It's like, yeah, here, this is what it feels like. So
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that. I can relate to that myself. That's a good way of putting it. A lot of times, I definitely can relate to that.
and maybe not in the
Um,
tragic same way that he lost one, but I think a lot of us have lost someone we really care about.
sure.
And there's a way, like it's always kind of in us, especially when we think of that person. And it would be nice, in a sense, to share it as a power. In a sense, like it'd be nice to
Yeah.
let people know exactly.
I think if we could do that, this world would be a whole nicer place.
It would
You
be. I
know.
think it would be. It would be like
Um,
less cruelty.
I really think this is been a lot of fun. I think it's been I think this is a lot of fun. Next time
It's
you
been a
have
lot for sure.
next time you want to do a superhero matchup, we can definitely do that. I think everybody here enjoyed this. We're all looking forward to the Crow. It's gonna be very interesting. It's definitely gonna be looked at. Like it's gonna be scrutinized
Oh yeah.
real close. I really hope they do it. I hope they do it justice. I really do. Having an independent superhero movie outside the Marvel or DC universe would actually be very cool to have.
Yeah, it
Um,
would be like something that's
on
a
the
powerhouse doing well. Hopefully, let's
uh,
hope that this turns the franchise around a bit, because it's had a lot of downs ever since its first up, as we've pointed out. I would say go check out part three. I think Salvation isn't that bad, but the
I
rest of them are just. I haven't seen the Eddie Furlong one myself. I don't know if I ever will.
that's a
City
stretch.
of Angels has
That's a
some
stretch
good
to
stuff
pull
about
on.
it, but it's also a huge disappointment compared to the first one. And then the show is don't watch the show. Speaking of shows though, and just what we're looking forward to is, I think Marvel needs to capitalize a little more on Charlie Cox. We brought him in, like he's back,
Mhm.
he's part of the MCU now. He's been in She-Hulk and in the Spider-Man movie. Give us more Daredevil. Like
Yeah.
give us more Charlie, because
Um,
the Marvel's like struggling to figure out what to do right now with their new act of what they're going through and their new
well,
just
they
movie.
were lining up for the new Daredevil series, and then they looked at the script, and they basically fired the whole team of writers. They took it back to formula. Um,
I just
and
say give him a movie. We have like 3 seasons, and that's like canon at this point. Even though Netflix did it and not Disney, I don't care. Just give us more Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. I want to see
I
him in his
personally
own
feel they
movie.
could have. I wish they would have given us a Defender movie.
Yeah, Defender should have got a
That's
movie.
really what I would have liked. Um, yeah, Larry, I think so too. I think so too. I know that Marvel has basically said that the Netflix series, which I don't understand how they could say this, but they said the Defender series or the
All of them.
Netflix series and Agents of Shield were non-canon. But
And I get that, but
obviously,
then they brought in the Kingpin and they brought in Daredevil, so it's like, are they non-canon because you have them still playing the same characters It doesn't feel like it. Like when he's in She-Hulk and he talks about Hell's Kitchen, it sounds like he's talking about the show that he was on for 3 seasons. So
And people forget that the Kingpin, while he was Daredevil's main foil, the Kingpin also clashed countless times with Spider-Man.
yeah, he's one of
Very,
Spider-Man's
very,
villains
very
too.
huge Spider-Man villain. Very much.
Yeah.
In fact, you didn't know whose villain whose rogue gallery he belonged to.
It was he's a bad guy in New York. They're both good guys in New York, so there you go.
So you can't turn around and sit there and say, well, Daredevil's not canon. Well, yeah, if you do that, you got to take Fisk out of it. So and the Kingpin is probably more. He's probably more now. He's probably more attached to Daredevil than he is Spider-Man. But he was very much a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, he was. Like I love the '90s cartoon where Kingpin was constantly the bad guy in the Spider-Man cartoon.
The Defenders was fun. Gory says Defenders was fun. I enjoyed it, except for some of the dialogue they gave Iron Fist. God,
we all agree Iron Fist was the one blemish Netflix couldn't.
The dialogue they gave him, even in the Defenders, it was so cringy. And the only thing I would have changed the Defenders from was they needed to get a stronger villain, because Sigourney Weaver just did not do it at all. She didn't move the register at all.
Well, it just and like also, and when it comes to Iron Fist, it's like they just took the fist from Daredevil and made them the villains for Iron Fist, but then put the Chinese lady in charge of them, which made no sense because if you watch the early seasons of Daredevil, she's not with the fist. That's a Japanese like whole thing going on. So why was all of a sudden she's just now the leader of the fist? That made no sense.
No. But I'll give you one thing too. My favorite moment of the Defenders series. So was when Iron Fist met Luke Cage, and then he knocked the shit out of Luke Cage. I was like, hell yes, that's exactly what it would be like in the comic book.
That was his best interaction that he had in all of them. The interaction between him and Luke Cage was actually pretty good. That was like the one time I hate Danny Rand.
Girls for Hire. Of course, in the comic book, Iron Fist and Power Man, for Heroes for Hire for many, many years. Of course, we had the Sisters of the Dragon that came from Power Man and Iron Fist as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to get to the point where we got a Squirrel Girl series because Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are supposed to have a baby, and Squirrel Girl is going to be the babysitter. But we didn't even get that far.
I was so happy they did not put Squirrel Girl in the Marvels, because I was thinking that's probably what they're going to do. I was so glad.
I
think Squirrel Girl is a jump the shark character.
She is.
I wouldn't put her in any live action. If you try to do that, I think you'd be jump the shark.
I would get the people who do Daredevil, or not Daredevil, but the people who do Deadpool. He's a jump the shark character too, and he's worked.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be the most interesting Marvel movie that they've released. Is how are they going to incorporate a Deadpool into the Marvel universe after he just basically fourth walled him to death? I mean,
well, not as bad as She-Hulk fourth walled him to death. I actually kind of like the She-Hulk show until we got to that last episode where she just went into the writer's room, and it's like, okay, well, now it's going to be hard to take anything ever a threat in this universe serious if you could just walk into the writer's room and be like, no, universe-destroying bad guy, I don't want you in my series no more. Shoo. She-Hulk did it way worse than Deadpool ever did it when it comes to fourth wall breaking.
So I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and think about wrapping this up, but I want to offer an invite to you again. We should talk off camera and bring up a couple of more movies like this and come back up and chop it up.
Yeah,
if you're into something like this, and if I see you in Gory's chat and you sit there and say, yeah, that character is weak, then we'll
I said that movie's weak. I like Daredevil. So
I think we both we both agree. Like I said, I mean, this is not one of those verses. This is one of those movies that they're both really good. It's just that we each think that one's a little bit better than the other one.
And honestly, I've watched Daredevil a couple of times since that comment, and you know what? Yeah, like I said, it's still very silly, but it's grown on me a lot more that I've given it more of a chance. So
I'm gonna go see the one. I'm gonna go see the Crow. Now that you got me all totally interested. I definitely want to see Eric Mabius as the Crow.
yeah, Crow
So
Salvation Part 3. The first three are watchable. I don't really like Part 2 all that much, and it's the one that got a video game. Why did they give City of Angels the video game? It came out for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn and the PC. It's awful on all three systems. I'll tell you that much. But I don't know why. That's the one that got a video game. The other two movies didn't get a video game, and the first Crow is amazing, and the third one's pretty good.
we just saw Gory taking over the chat, and all of a sudden now we're old men. Old dude Cheetah, old dude Danny Nightmare. Oh, old dude Nightmare.
Old dudes for life.
Oh, old dude. I'm hoping that in 2024, I'm hoping the battle royale will make a return, and hopefully we'll take because the old dude vampire he went hella deep into the tournament.
He did,
I
and he
think
should have.
I think he was like final 8 or something like that, or final 16.
The
I
big,
think
yeah, he made it all the way to the big tournament. He beat the vampires too.
I think
So
he lost the Blade. That's who he
yeah,
lost. He lost the Blade.
off the blade. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense because those were both hybrids. They weren't both full vampire. One was fairy vampire, then one was human vampire. And honestly, I think he should have beat Blade, but hey, the people spoke.
That's another movie that's being remade. I don't know if it'll be out next year or not, but that's another movie that we could talk about. Is the original Blade versus the remake Blade. I mean,
Yeah.
pros and cons, because I mean it's going to be very interesting to see that movie. I'm very interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Wesley Snipes. I mean, I happen to like all three Blade movies. The third one, obviously the third one is the worst one by far.
You don't like Blade Chinatown, the fourth movie? It didn't have Wesley Snipes in it, but it went straight to DVD. It was the fourth
are you
movie,
talking about the TV series?
No, there was a fourth movie. It went straight to DVD. It was called Blade Chinatown or something like that.
Wow.
Like I have a DVD set that has all four of them in it. Like,
wow, I never even knew there was a fourth one. I know that I know they made a TV series out of it that ran for 10 episodes with Sticky Fingers. That's his name, Sticky Fingers, and Jill Wagner.
Yeah.
Jill Wagner's badass. All right, boys and girls, what do you got going on your channel, Danny? Before we say goodnight.
I'm gonna have like a Christmas episode coming out here soon before Christmas, so keep track of that. And I don't know. Other than that, I don't got a whole lot going on. So.
I do hope that Gory will be coming back soon on Sundays. She's very much missed, and very much missed. So I'm hoping that the Gory Hole will return. And as far as us, we'll be back here tomorrow night at 8:00. And we will be talking with Jamie Hart. Jamie Hart will be here, and we're going to be talking to Skinner Moranek tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
So, check that out.
Yeah. The Rolling Stones' #1 horror film of the year is Skinner Moranek, and #2 is When Evil Lurks. And I'm so tickled with that because both of them are IFC Midnight releases.
Yeah.
Take that, A24.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Oh, and see. Dory says it will return. Oh, yes, it will return. All right. Stay right where you're at, Danny, into the chat. Thank you guys so much for your engagement today. It's been awesome. I had so much fun. It was worth the wait. And we're going to do this again sometime soon. All right. Stay right where you're at, Danny. And everybody else, have a great night. Peace. Orange and white cat power.
Hell yeah. Orange cat is best.
That's what they need. They need to get an orange and white cat superhero.
Yeah.
How come the turtles never had a cat?
Well,